Hello and welcome to the regular Ubuntu Community Team Q&A. I'm Alan Pope and this is Daniel Holbach. Hello, Daniel.
Hello. How are you?
Sorry. Yeah, good. Super. Recovered. You may have noticed, everyone who's watching this, that we didn't do one of these last week. We try and do this every week, but last week was a little bit busy. We were at a sprint in The Hague in the Netherlands. And so we were in meetings all week, and so it was very difficult for us to get out to do one of these. We sometimes defer these. So for those of you who are new to this, if you go to ubuntuonair.com, you'll find the video box at the top, and at the bottom there's a little chat box where you can post your questions to us. If you prefix them with the word question, then we will see them highlighted in our chat client. We will give it a little time for those questions to come in. We generally take questions about anything, but related to Ubuntu and open source is probably a good bet to start with. We generally throw support questions elsewhere because this isn't a good forum for doing technical support. Ask Ubuntu is probably a better place, or the #Ubuntu IRC channel. Speaking of IRC, if you have a proper IRC client, then you can find us in #Ubuntu-on-air, where you can ask your questions again with the word question in front of it. While those questions come in, we've got an hour, so let's do a little update. What do you want to talk about first, Daniel?
US, maybe.
Yes.
So for those of you who are new to this, we're talking about Ubuntu Online Summit, and it's happening on the 15th and the 16th of November. And this is where we're going to present all the great stuff that landed in 1610. It's going to be organized in tracks. So we're going to have core, convergence, community, and probably something else I forgot. Anyway, it's going to be like loads of hangouts just like this one. You can get involved, you can ask your questions, you can jump on the hangout if you have something to contribute. And it's going to be a mix of presentations, demos, and workshops about stuff which has landed already. And there might also be some discussions about what's going to happen in 1704. It's basically where we're all going to get together. It's going to be 2 action-packed days. So everything is going to happen on summit.ubuntu.com. So you might want to take a look at it beforehand. We're still busy putting the schedule together, but it's going to be updated in the next couple of days.
Awesome. And it's whatever you make it. So, if you want to have a session about something, schedule it. Don't wait for someone else to create a session. You sign up, register for the summit, and then create an event, whatever subject you want to discuss, and we'll get it put into the schedule at whatever time is appropriate for yourself. Next up, we've got UbuCon, which is another event coming up soon, 18th to the 20th of November. It's in Essen in Germany. It's the first European UbuCon, and it's being organized by members of the community with some assistance from us. And it's on Friday the 18th. It starts in the evening, social gatherings, Friday afternoon and evening on the 18th of November. And then the event itself is on the 19th, the weekend of the 19th and 20th of November. A whole bunch of people going. There's some of us from Canonical going, a whole lot of people from the community going. It's being held at the Unperfect House in Essen, and it should be great. Looking forward to that.
Same here.
Cool. So I mentioned that we weren't around last week because we were super busy at a sprint. For those who don't know, we internally within the company get together in different groups, different teams get together to work on things and do some planning and have meetings basically for a period of time. This one was a full week sprint, so we were there from Monday to Friday. There's a whole bunch, all of us from the community team were there, the Snappy team were there, the desktop team were there. So it was, and a whole bunch of design team, SDK, loads and loads of people were there. planning what we're doing for the forthcoming year within the company. Yeah, it was a busy old time. So yeah, we're kind of we'll find a few people aren't around this week because, as always with these sprints, someone somewhere is patient zero, and a few people end up with Ubu flu. Common thing if you've ever been to an Ubuntu Developer Summit. You get Ubu flu, and it kind of knocks you out for a couple of days afterwards. I think this is one of the benefits of the online summit. Actually, is there's no transmission of communicable diseases between members of the community when we do the online summit. So that's always a win in my book. I think we came back unscathed. So yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah, we must have been in a clean room in the hotel. But no doubt you'll see more announcements and stuff coming out of that sprint over the next couple of weeks or so. One other thing that was that happened recently was the 16.10 release came out to not a huge fanfare, which is often the case with the post LTS release. Is there's not a huge fanfare because a lot of people like to stick on the LTS releases. Obviously, there are some people who like the bleeding edge. You're on 16.10, aren't you, Daniel?
I am.
Yeah, I'm promising myself I'm going to stick with 16.04 for now. Set a clock and come back to me in a few weeks when I relent and move to 16.10. I'm sure.
Or 17.04.
Or 17.04 indeed. One thing that is worth mentioning that happened last week was the Snappy Series 16 release candidate was built, and these are the all Snappy system images that we've built for x86 and Raspberry Pi and Dragon board and a bunch of other devices. Those release candidate images were built last week, so people have been testing those. And the final image is due sometime very soon, this week, next week, something like that. So have a look out for those. You'll be able to play with those both in a VM. You can use KVM, for example, or VirtualBox. You can also try them out on a Raspberry Pi. I have a couple of Pis here that I've been testing them out on. They're quite cool for testing out some of the snaps that are in the store.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you can also create your own snaps and stick them in the store if you want, and we could provide support to help you create snaps as well and point you in the right direction for documentation. But the best place is snapcraft.io for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, also check the Snapcraft mailing list because there you'll find out where the images are and where to report issues you may find or whatever, ask questions. So have a look at that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite an active mailing list, the Snapcraft mailing list. There's a lot going on. People testing out things, finding all the edges, and reporting their successes as well. So if you do have success and you have a snap that you build and you put it in the store, then announce it to the world on the Snapcraft mailing list, and that'll get shared around. It's really good for the Snapcraft team who've had their heads down, creating the Ubuntu core images and building the tools like Snapd and Snapcraft. It's really good for them to see those successes. So they really appreciate it when people report what they've been doing. And also they appreciate the bug reports as well. I know that because I've reported a few myself.
It's quite beautiful to see the people who work on Snappy, who work on Snapcraft, the people who try to snap stuff. And then there's people who are porting this to new devices. And then there's people building devices, like all these crazy people, they come together on this mailing list and they just try to make it happen. And it's just so apparent how they all benefit from each other's work. So it's a really nice place to be. So
and it's not just Ubuntu as well. There's people there who are using Snapcraft on other platforms as well, and installing snaps on Fedora and Arch Linux as well. So we're embracing all of those other Linux distros that want to use snaps as well. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So should we get on with some of these questions then? They're starting to pile up.
Let's.
So the first question from Chloe Wolfie Girl is, who's doing the Q&A today? That's us. There we go. We've sorted that one. Cody Europe asks, What does the panel think about the pirate party's uprising in the Iceland political system?
Did you have the pirate party in the UK?
No, they were never visible or successful. I mean, there may well be, community groups trying to build it, but they've never had like as much visibility as they've had in Scandinavia or in Iceland. Not really.
Right. It was interesting in Germany because they were quite successful in some parts of Germany. So never on the national level, but on the federal. And yeah, I think they're doing great work, but let's see how the landscape evolves. And about specific bits in Iceland, I don't know.
Me neither.
Maybe we have somebody watching who's from Iceland and who can comment on that.
Cool.
Let's see.
Next up, Blue2 asks, what are you saying about the IoT botnet and how will Canonical take it as an opportunity? Well, it's interesting you should ask that question. I think the Snappy team have been heads down, as I said, heavily working on Ubuntu core images and all the tools around it. So while they're aware of the news of the recent botnets and, it took out some of our DNS providers as well. So, we were directly affected by this as well. So we felt it just as much as everyone else. I don't think they've had time right now to, use that as an opportunity to talk about how things could be improved in the Ubuntu core and Snappy world. But I don't doubt that we will probably make some kind of forward-looking statement about that at some point soon. Personally speaking, I think it's not remotely surprising that these IoT devices are being used for botnet attacks and that, people don't change the default passwords and it's impossible for these things to get software updates. This is not news. This is not, new information. We knew this and we've known this for a long time, and we've known that it needs fixing for a long time, which is part of the reason why Ubuntu Core and Snappy exists, is to fix that problem. So yeah, I would like to hope that in a few years' time, we are instrumental in making sure this kind of thing doesn't happen anymore, and that hardware vendors just reuse the tools that we're building that enable developers to give instant updates to their users' software and security updates to the core system as well. I would like to hope these kind of things go away, but there's always going to be the race to the bottom price point and people making devices that don't get software updates, don't have access to a store, or have default usernames and passwords. I think that's always going to be the case. I would like to hope it goes away then.
Yeah, I really hope that whoever's building devices or thinking about a new device to build will take a look at Snaps and Ubuntu Core, because they fix many of these issues. Like if you want to especially build a cheap device, like if you don't want to spend a lot of resources on building the software, maintaining the stack and all the rest of it, it just makes a lot of sense to just build the device, make sure that a port for it exists, and then you just work on your own bits of software that are required for the app or for whatever the device does. Everything else is maintained through the standard Ubuntu processes in Snappy. So I personally feel like a lot of these issues are being addressed right here.
Yep, totally. Next question is from DiddleDan _. He says, if you were to be asked a question that begins, if you were, which object would you prefer that question proposed that you were? Oh my God, that's quite meta.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
I would answer, my answer would be, the object I would prefer the question proposed would be a question. There you go. If I were a question is how I would start that, just to confuse you even more. Chloe Wolfie Girl asks, Alan, when will you run an Ubuntu party for government? I don't think I'm qualified for that. I mean, there are some types of party I am qualified for, but not that kind of party.
I'm just thinking, like, I can't remember on which site it was. It was about the question. We had 2 questions earlier about the the IoT incident, and somebody brought up at some stage. I can't remember which site it was. It was somewhere in the comments. Somebody said it's important that we make legislation which drives this forward. That none of these devices are built without getting proper software updates and stuff. So maybe if somebody was interested in founding the Ubuntu party, maybe that would be an area where you could get started or get it into schools. And there's countless opportunities for open source software making a good impact on our world.
We've seen a lot of movement in governments and government agencies using open source software and mandating the use of open formats, open document formats, and so on. It makes sense for the next step to say, well, you should create devices which are updatable. Maybe that is the next step. I don't know. We need to put the tools in place to make that happen first. Then we can get them to legislate for it. Next question from Chloe. Any scope update? I don't think so. Not since last time, no. And can we ask questions about trees and bees? And I said, no, trees are banned. So the next some serious question is from Diddle Dan, who asks, what are you most looking forward to at UOS? So I would like to see at UOS, I don't know if anyone's signed up for it yet, I would like to see snap crafting workshops. So taking people from like absolute zero, how to package your stuff up and make it easy for packaging. Snapcraft already makes it easy. It's like ridiculously easy to package stuff with Snapcraft, way easier than Debs and RPMs and all the other things. But I'd like to spread that information wide so other developers can use it for packaging up their apps. Because really, Snapcraft, it shouldn't be a skill. It shouldn't be something that you need to learn how to do, but people need to see how easy it is. And so I think we could have a little workshop that shows how to use the various parts of Snapcraft, and then off you go, Snapcrafting your stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a session about how you can hook up the Snap process with Launchpad. And I already got somebody interested in giving a presentation about it. So what you can basically expect there is that you have your Git repo or wherever you have your code set up so that snaps can be built, and you hook that up with Launchpad, and it builds for whenever it checks, it builds snaps for all architectures for you, and that's just beautiful. I think it even publishes them to the store, so
yep, can do.
even more bonus. So
yeah, that's something I've noticed is a few projects are adopting is having the Snapcraft configuration in their trunk, wherever that is, whether it's GitHub or Launchpad or wherever, and then automating that so that if people want to have the bleeding edge version of an upstream application, they can install it from the Edge channel in the store, and the developers are just pushing all the time. And I see this because we get notifications when apps arrive in the store. I keep seeing, the most active applications are the ones that are pushing an update, daily or sometimes even multiple times a day to the store, so that users can get the latest and greatest of those upstream apps. And obviously, if you don't want to have bleeding edge, but you want the stable version, then you can subscribe to the stable channel, and the developer can choose a stable version, nominate that, and push that to the stable channel. And the fact that people are already doing that shows that this process is working. We just need to get more people doing that, so more people can play with new and bleeding edge versions of software, which is cool. Chloe asks, politics is getting more and more like a show. It's made in a way which emphasizes character and story rather than actual credibility and thoughts. How damaging do you think this is?
Very much so.
I do. I still think you kind of need some personality to appeal to the masses, because people don't read manifest and can be, who people want to listen to, not just reading dry documents, because unfortunately normal people don't do that, and they will vote based on personality, which is a shame. But
sure.
I don't know how you fix that.
I think it's important to know how to transport your values and your plans, like in not too many words, to a very different audience depending on who you talk to. Like, that's hard, obviously, but I don't know. I can see where the question is coming from, especially with the current set of elections in the world going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I see dangers in this, but I can also see that. How do I phrase this best? Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard. Let's go shopping. Chloe asks, any HUD updates? Nope. Chloe then points out that you can get XMPP in the messaging app, but you can't send a message. So you can receive, but you can't send. And you can only receive non-encrypted XMPP. Is XMPP still being worked on? And any update for when we see an update for the messaging framework? I don't know, is the short answer.
There's a question about HUD in Snaps, which I also haven't heard of.
No. So yes,
Beyond.
I think we'll probably park the HUD and messaging update questions until there is actually an update that we have. But yes,
That sounds fair.
Yeah, we hear you. Chloe asks, when will Unity 8 have integrated tree menus in the bar? Currently, they're sat under the X in the top left-hand corner, I think. I saw a demo of this last week, the new menus in Unity 8, and it looks pretty cool. So it's being actively worked on, the menu stuff in Unity 8. There was a nice little demo at the Sprint last week where one of the developers showed off, what menus might look like as a prototype. So soon it's being actively worked on. It takes a little while to go through the cycle and tested and QA'd, but yeah, it's in the works right now. Chloe asks, will Telegram get merged with the messaging app, or will they stay standalone? Good question. I don't know. I don't know that it makes sense to merge every single messaging system into the messaging app. That makes things a little harder to update when you've got one application and it has to be updated for all these different protocols. Given the Telegram app currently works, I think that'll probably stay where it is. Next question is from Ubuntu Lover. Last week, one developer showed a Facebook Messenger client on Google+. He quit developing the app due to some difficulties with the Ubuntu emulator for debugging. What's your thought on this? So I didn't see this. I think I might have seen a screenshot somebody else shared. I didn't see the developers' conversation. I didn't see them quit development. The emulator is tricky. What I would probably say is don't use the emulator right now, but develop directly on the desktop, because you can use the Ubuntu toolkit directly on the desktop. It's the same code base that runs on the phone. So unless you want to test what the app looks like in a small form factor on the screen, which you may also be able to achieve by just shrinking the window, I'm not sure there's a huge amount of benefit to testing this in the emulator. It's probably easier to find someone with a device and test on the device than with the emulator, because for some time the emulator has lagged behind some of the other devices. We just haven't had enough resource to fix those issues with the emulator, I'm afraid. But I would develop on the desktop and find someone with a device to help test.
The next question was about the Ubuntu phone growing VoIP support. I don't know. Probably a good one for the Ubuntu phone mailing list.
Yeah, it's always been on the cards as something we wanted to have, to add VoIP support. And I know the browser has grown WebRTC support recently. So some of the more modern VoIP systems are actually WebRTC based, more video conferencing kind of things. If someone develops a VoIP app or ports an existing VoIP app, then yeah, that'd be great. I don't know of any development on that at the moment, though. Next question from Chloe is there any update on the Snappy phone? It's currently, well, when I say it, I mean the ability for a phone to boot to a Snappy only environment is currently in progress. It's still underway. It's still being worked on. I don't know what the current state of it is. I know we had some problems with Qt and some problems with some other packages. And really it's a case of getting everything packaged up as snaps. But right now, like I said, the Snappy team are heads down getting Snappy itself released, Series 16 released. And the various app developers are working on snapping their applications. So there are now snaps of many of the apps that were on the phone, the various phones, the BQ and Meizu devices. Many of those apps have now been snapped. There's still a few outstanding. And as those apps get snapped, that feeds back bugs to the Snappy team where they have to fix those. And so, you know, it's a constant iterative loop. It's ongoing. It's just not finished yet. Next question is when will the music app be a snap? So it's in progress. Andrew Hazen has been working on this. He's been looking at bundling together some of the libraries that that the music app depends on into the snap. He discovered a couple of bugs, I think, in Media Scanner and Media Hub, which are two libraries that the music app needs. And he's been talking to those developers to get those things fixed. So things are moving forward there, but we'll probably upload that to the store once, you know, all those kind of issues are sorted out.
Yeah, the next question was also from Chloe. Is there more focus on desktop stuff or still focused on the phone for features? I think it's very much what Ellen talked about earlier. Like right now, a big focus is getting everyone on the same page. So for everyone to use the same technologies. So on the desktop, on the phone, everyone using snaps. Like that is a big focus right now, because as everyone knows, like if you have two separate or even more different code bases, it just diverts everyone's attention. So that's the primary focus. But still, everyone is still working on their set of features, but I guess at a bit slower pace as everyone converges on the same stuff.
Cool. Cody Europe says, have you been playing any new and favorite games on your Ubuntu phones or tablets? I haven't. I have had a new toy arrive, which is this little thing. And I've been playing with this more than I've been playing with my Ubuntu phone. And it's quite cool because it's a little Arduino that lets you play games, which is quite cute. I've been playing with that more than I've been playing with my Ubuntu phone recently.
Yeah, only small update I have is I talked to Robert Ansel at the Sprint, and he promised a version of the 5 letters games, which lets you play in different languages.
Ah, yes, I saw people playing that in the bar last week. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, that was a problem we had with Riddling. Is Stuart Langridge originally created that, and it's English language only. And I think someone forked it and put a version in the not Riddling. The other one. What was the other game Stuart made? The first one, Dropping Letters. Dropping Letters was English language first, and it was a bit tricky to make it work in any other language. But I think someone forked it and put it in the Android store as a multilingual app, which is quite cool. The benefit of it being open source in the first place. The next question from Chloe asks, what are your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch? Do you think it helps people understand the idea of convergence or damages Ubuntu by making the perception a bit more normal? I don't see how it would damage Ubuntu at all. So, Daniel, have you seen this Nintendo Switch thing?
No.
It's a convergent game console, basically. It's like a thing that plugs into your TV and you play games on the TV with a controller, but then you can take the thing out of the docking station, attach the controls to the side of it and go walking about, much like you would with an Ubuntu phone, plugging that into a TV or unplugging it from a TV and using it mobile, that kind of thing. So I think actually, if anything, it is great for us because it reinforces the whole one device, take it with you or plug it into a big screen and use a 10-foot UI kind of thing. Whether it'll be successful, who knows? I think the one theory was every other Nintendo console is successful. So they had the Nintendo 64 success, GameCube not success, Wii success, Wii U not success. So this is now, destined for success. Completely non-scientific, but yeah, we'll see.
The next question was about Ubuntu Personal and if it will let you install meaning no debs and flatpaks. So the question we answered already sometime before. Like debs, that's obviously possible only to some degree. Like the whole thing we want to do there is that you have a read-only system where you can install all kinds of apps but can't meddle around with the system itself. That's what the traditional debs are for. That's a way to build a platform. And about flatpaks, I don't know. I guess there need to be some more integration points, I would assume, like backing this up, making sure they always write and read in the right places. So I think there's more planning which needs to be done to make this work and a success. So
so the other thing that's worth noting is with an Ubuntu Personal, which is all snaps, you can do snap install classic. And if you do snap install classic, you get an environment in which you can install debs. So you can, if you take, for example, the all snaps image, which currently exists, release candidate, which will be final very soon, and you install that on a Raspberry Pi, you can then do, actually, I could probably demo this. Let me demo it, because I can. See what happens if I share my screen, shall I? Do you see a terminal there?
do.
Okay, so if I SSH to a Raspberry Pi nearby, I think that might be a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, it is. Which one is it? Okay, so this is my Pi 2, right? And if I do snap list, it shows me the snaps that I have installed on this system. But I have a thing called Classic installed on here. And if I just go sudo classic, I'm now in a Classic system, which I can do apt update and apt-get install and do the kind of, installing apt Debian packages that you would expect. It's a bit slow because it's a Raspberry Pi 2, but yeah, I could install a Debian package right now, just typing sudo apt-get install, whatever. Apt install Caute. There we go. Take a little while, but this will give you the idea. So this was installed as an all snaps system, but there's a package in the Snappy store called Classic, and it builds on your local file system an chroot that lets you then install Debian packages. So if you had an all snap system and you still wanted to be able to install something, maybe install weird esoteric compilers, and you wanted to do some compiling of something, your own project, or you wanted to, I don't know, do something else that was only available as a deb, then this is a possibility for you. It's unfortunately incredibly slow on my little Pi, but you get the idea, I think.
Beautiful. So yeah, there's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
It's not the default experience.
No. Next question. Ubuntu Lover asks, any news for Deco notifications for Google accounts? I'm not sure what the status of that is. I haven't spoken to Dan for a little while, a couple of weeks, so I'll have to check in with Dan and see where we are there. I think it was blocked on a couple of other parts of our platform, but I'll speak to him and find out. Coda Europe asks, where can I get a snappy updatable router for home use? Well, so the first thing to note is Snappy Ubuntu Core Series 16 isn't out yet. So it's currently in release candidate. It'll be out very soon. I would expect devices to be on the market soon after that, although some of them will still be in development right now and won't come until a little while later because of the cycle it takes to get stuff manufactured and images tested and images made for devices. However, that said, I did see some interesting x86 based devices kicking around. I saw some on various online retail sites, which are like small devices which have 4 Ethernet ports and optional wireless antennas. So you could potentially build your own with a snappy image that will be available soon once it's released. Put it onto SD card or some other media, whatever that device boots from, and then use that as your router, which will get automatic updates whenever a new version of the Ubuntu Core comes out. And you could snap install other applications on there as well, like Nextcloud or whatever else you wanted to run on your router. So the short answer is I don't believe there are any available to buy right now, but I would expect them to be soon. And if you're a hacker type, then you could probably create your own because the images are out there already.
Brilliant. This question was from Ubuntu Lover. Any news on the implementation of the System Services API, i.e. running background services?
No, not that I'm aware of. Sorry.
Okay, SEP3BQM10HD asked, what will the what will the WoW feature be in 1704? You can guess. I don't want a weekend TV yet answered. Just a guess. Okay. Okay. I think it's a good idea to watch online summit in 2 weeks about this because some of the discussions going to happen there. Do you already have a couple of things are happening?
I think no, but I think the pace of development of Unity 8 will accelerate after 1610 towards 1704, partly because it has to, and partly because most of the basic nuts and bolts are done, and it's a lot of refinement and ironing out issues that will be done over the next 4 or 5 months. So I think you'll be getting in 1610, Unity 8 is an option. It's installed by default, but you can choose to log into it or not. I think in 1704, I doubt it will be default, but I think it will have moved on to the point where 1704 you could really use it as a default desktop, whereas in 1610 it's more like a preview, and we're expecting that people will have some rough edges in 1610. So I think that's going to be the big thing in 1704 is it will be way more Unity 8 will be way more usable experience.
Next one is interesting. Bluetooth asks, many people are still bitter because of the development of Mir. What are your thoughts? So,
I think. Go on.
yeah, very, very briefly, like, if anyone gets angry or bitter about the development of open source software, that's a bit weird. Like, there's loads of open software projects. Like, there's more open source code. Like, there's more things that are evolving, and you can choose after some time which one you're going to use.
I think some people inevitably will be upset about things that were said and done in the past. And I think the number of those people is quite small. They may be quite vocal, they may be quite angry, they may hold a grudge, but I think there's a statistically significantly larger group of people who just don't care and who just want to use the software and will provide patches, will provide feedback, will provide bug reports, and just see it as yet another piece of free software that's in the corpus of free software out there. So yeah, there's always going to be some angry people out there. What can you do?
And yeah, I agree with what Ellen just said. And I think the vast majority of people just want a stable open source system they can rely on, and what exactly puts the pixels on, the screen somewhere, they care less about. That's my gut feeling.
Cody Europe says, I had a dream last night that Canonical partnered with Hewlett Packard to build a device similar to the HP Slate tablet. Yeah, very intricate dreams. Should I have woken up shouting, when, or should I have kept dreaming? Well, if you like a dream, then stay asleep and keep the dream going. Yeah, I don't know if we'll have more tablets in the near future or in the far future, and I don't know who will make those tablets. So for now, it is still a dream. Seb3BQM10HD says, one day, somehow, all mobile OSs disappeared. Everything but Android, iOS. Everything but Ubuntu Touch. Would the world be a better place? No. Choice is a good thing. I don't feel that we should force people to use things. So, no, I like the idea that there's choice. And we are just one of those choices.
Yep. Hindu asked, it would be better to release a beta Unity 8 only to check with users. Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can you can install 1610 and just log in with Unity 8 and test it, but then you can log out and log back in as Unity 7 to get a usable, productive, traditional system that you're used to. So actually, there's benefits to having Unity 8 on the CD along with Unity 7. I think the personal images that will be built soon, all Snappy personal images, will be Unity 8 only, and those will be the things that will be really, really good to test, because a future image that has all of that goodness, all that new stuff in, will certainly be interesting, I would say. Next question from Ubuntu Lover says, some weeks ago, the Ubuntu designers created 2 surveys asking about color scheme and scopes. The delay of refreshing scopes can be related with these surveys. I don't know. I don't know whether there's any inference to be drawn from the fact that those surveys came out and there's not been a lot of movement on the scopes design. I don't know. What's next? Chloe asks, if you could be an animal, what animal would you be? I'd like to think cat. I mean, it's an obvious answer coming from me, but yes, cats. What about you, Daniel?
I thought I was unmuted earlier, but I probably wasn't. I said a sloth.
A sloth. Okay.
I mean, they're both lazy and cute, so why not?
Okay. Chloe says, I learned that Chinese water deers, I think deers exist. These are deers with big, massive fangs. I don't know what fangs are. What specific type of animal have you learned about which may have caught you off guard a little?
I remember there was something in the museum we went to at the Sprint, but I can't remember which animal it was.
Nope, I don't know. Nothing
Yeah.
recently. I need more preparation for those kind of questions. Ubuntu Lover asks, if a non-developer user, non-technical user, non-terminal user wants to back up his device, how can he achieve that? Almost 2 years later and no backup option on the phone. Well, you are in luck. Last week, one of the demos given to us at the Sprint was about backing up devices and backing up devices in a way that is easy for normal, non-technical, non-terminal users to do. Sorry about that. Yeah, they gave a demo of backing up a device using a storage framework that is currently being worked on. So yes, it's in the works.
Cool. Coda Europe asked, who's going to UbuCon Europe and will the Revolution UbuCon be televised? So, Ed and I are going to go. I just know from a bunch of people at Canonical who are going. So there's Jane, Silva, there's Mike from our team, there's David Kay, there's loads of others. And outside the Canonical world, there's at least Elizabeth Krumbach who's going. Laura is going, right? Laura Tchaikovsky. And loads of others. Like, have a look at the ubucon.org page. There's countless speakers there. I think almost all of them in English. I'm not 100% sure, but it's going to be good. And
yes.
about the revolution being televised, I don't know how many of the sessions are going to be recorded there. That's something we could ask Sujivan. Sujivan, if you're listening, let us know.
Yeah, I don't know of any plan to video the event. But some people may stream particular sessions. I don't know.
I think the last time we had some sessions recorded, but it's usually quite a bit of work to, kind of picking up and get it nice. So I don't know.
Cool. Right, what's next? Question. I'm going to skip the question from Seb because the developer of the application he's asked the question for is in the channel and is answering his questions for him. So who can answer the questions better than I can? So I'm going to skip that one. Chloe asks, when will Ubuntu on the phone run everything and be slicker than the competition? Yeah. Next week, probably, I would imagine. And then asks, what will we see in the next OTA and what do you expect to see in the OTA after that? So the easy way to see what's in the next over-the-air update on the phone is to look at the milestone page on Launchpad, because the milestone page lists all the bugs that are tagged for that milestone and what the status of them are. Any ones that say fix committed or fix released are probably going to be in the next OTA. Ones that are critical probably will be fixed in the next OTA, but you'd have to speculate about the lower priority ones. Those probably won't be. And Chloe asks, can we have Halloween Easter eggs on the Ubuntu phone? It's hard to land Easter eggs on open source products because people spot them. You know, if you add particularly keyboard combination, you know, something pops up on the screen, then yeah, it's often people discover that kind of stuff. You know, the whole apt moo and all those kind of things that are in apt. It's open source, so it's easy to find. The other thing is, you have to be aware that Halloween is culturally a very American-centric, Western-centric event, and some people just don't like that kind of thing for cultural or religious reasons. So it would actually probably be a bad idea for us to shove Halloween based stuff in the phone as an Easter egg anyway, because it would probably upset some people. So I probably wouldn't do that. Next question is from Sundu, who asks, will Ubuntu Phone OS be installable in low-end devices like 1 gigabyte? When will we get a cheap $100 Ubuntu phone? So the lowest spec phone we've ever ported to is the BQ E4.5, and that only has 1 gig of RAM. As I understand it. Well, it's got slightly less than 1 gig of RAM. So yeah, that mission is accomplished. We did that already 2 years ago. Cheap $100 Ubuntu phones. I don't know. Maybe in a couple of years, once we've done the high-end phones and those chips filter down and become cheaper and cheaper. Perhaps that's probably the easiest way you get to a $100 phone. Don't try and squeeze the software down to a smaller phone, but wait until newer phones just get faster. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Chloe asks, will you use Unity as your primary desktop now? Yes. I have done for many years.
Yes, I was just about to say, like, I don't know, 6 years or something at least. But I guess you're asking about Unity 8. Please. But I guess you're asking about Unity 8. So Unity 8 as the default is probably still a bit rough. You could take a look at Mike Hall's blog post. I think he posted like half a year ago or something, where he decided to do like a 10-day challenge. I think it was 7 in the end or something. Yeah, take a look at that. But loads of things have improved since then because the team's focus has been on the desktop and everything else. So today should be a lot better. I decided that once I upgrade to the Z release, I'm going to do that in a couple of weeks. I'm going to do some more testing.
You're going to go up to 1704, zany, whatever it is.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of the animal. What is it? Zany?
That's the...
But if you mean like longer term, then we're working on the ecosystem around Snappy. So ensuring the documentation is good for both Snappy itself and also for the tools around it like Snapd and Snapcraft. And talking to lots of software developers about getting their software packaged as snaps, and so that they can get their apps in the store and get their latest and greatest code out to users as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah, pretty much the same as Alan. I've been working with snaps for some time now, and it's just important that we get feedback, that we figure
and talking to lots of software developers about getting their software packaged as snaps, and so that they can get their apps in the store and get their latest and greatest code out to users as soon as they possibly can.
Yeah, pretty much the same as Ellen. I've been working with Snaps for some time now, and it's just important that we get feedback, that we figure out what's still missing, how we can improve, because we want to base a lot on this. And just looking at the story in general, as somebody who has tried to teach people to get software into Ubuntu for a very, very long time, I think this is the best approach we've taken up until now. So
it is a startlingly different way to get software to users compared to how we used to do it with Debs, and I look forward to seeing more and more apps in the App Store over time. And with that, we've approached the last question, which is amazing for us because we usually overrun and run out of time for the questions. So this will give us time to say thank you for watching. Thank you for all your questions. We do these regularly. If you have any feedback for us, you can find us on Twitter at Popey at D Holbach, or you can find us on IRC with the same nicknames. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do, and that will enable you to see when the next one of these videos will be. We also have a Twitter account, twitter.com/UbuntuOnAir. And I think that's everything, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe
Thanks a lot,
see you
everyone.
next week at the same time, same place.
Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye.